bag into the trunk of the Pontiac and got out of town. The job was perfect.
Chapter 63.
Here was the deal as Francis saw it now, as he tried to be calm and logical about it. Nothing that had happened to him could possibly have happened. He couldn't have been abducted a few hours ago from the campus of Holy Cross by 3 absolutely terrifying men. It just couldn't have happened. Nor could he have been transported in the trunk of a car for 4, maybe 5 hours to God only knew where. Most important, Vince couldn't be dead. That cruel and heartless piece of shit couldn't have slit Vince's throat back at the college. It hadn't happened. So all this had to be an impossibly bad dream. A nightmare of the sort that Francis Deegan hadn't experienced since he was maybe 3 or 4 years old. And this man standing before him now, this absurd caricature with curly tufts of white blonde hair around the side of his balding head, dressed in a tight black leather bodysuit, well, he couldn't be real either. No way. "I'm very angry at you. I'm good and pissed," Mr. Potter yelled right in Francis's face. "Why did you leave me?" he screeched. "Why? Tell me why. You must never leave me again. I get very scared without you, and you know that. You know how I am. That was thoughtless of you, Ronald." Francis had already tried reasoning with the madman. Potter, he called himself. And no, not Harry. Mr. Potter. But reasoning didn't work. He told the raving lunatic several times that he had never seen him before. He wasn't Ronald, didn't know any Ronalds. That had earned him a series of full-handed slaps across the face, one so hard that it bloodied his nose. The dweeby Billy Idol-looking freak was a lot stronger than he looked. So, out of desperation, Francis finally whispered an apology to the creep. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I won't do it again." And then Mr. Potter was hugging him fiercely, and he was crying all over him. Wasn't this too weird? "Oh, God, I'm so glad you're back. I was so worried about you. You must never leave me again, Ronald." Ronald? Who the hell was Ronald? And who was Mr. Potter? What was going to happen now? Was Vince really dead? Had he been killed tonight back at the college? All of these questions were exploding inside Francis's throbbing skull. So actually, it was easy for him to cry in Potter's arms, and even to hold on to him for dear life, to press his face into the fragrant black leather and whisper over and over again, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I'm sorry." And Potter answered, "I love you too, Ronald. I adore you. You'll never leave me again, will you?" "No, I promise. I'll never leave." Then Potter laughed and pulled away sharply from the boy. "Francis, dear Francis," he whispered, "who the hell is Ronald? I'm just playing with you, boy. This is just a game of mine. You're in college. You must have figured that much out. So let's play games, Francis. Let's go out to the barn and play."
Chapter 64. I received a strange email from Monty Donnelly at my temporary office. An update of sorts. She hadn't been suspended, Monty said. Not yet, anyway. Plus, she had some news for me. "Need to see you tonight. Same place, same time. Very important news. M." So I arrived at the Command Post pub just past 7 and looked around for Monty. What was this mysterious news she had? The bar area was crowded with customers, but I spotted her. Easy. She was the only woman. I also figured that Monty and I might be the only non-Marines in the command post. "I couldn't talk to you over the phone at Quantico. Does that suck or what? Who do you trust?" she said when I walked up to her. "You can trust me. Of course, I don't expect you to believe that, Monty. You have news?" "I sure do. Take a load off. I think I have some good news, actually." I took a stool beside Monty. The bartender came and we ordered beers. Monty started up as soon as he walked away. "I have a good friend at ERF," she began. "That's the engineering research facility at Quantico." "I know what it is. You seem to have friends everywhere." "That's true. I guess not at the Hoover Building, though. Anyway, my friend alerted me to a message the Bureau got a couple of days ago but dismissed as a crank call. It's about a website called The Wolf's Den. Supposedly, you can buy a lover at the den, as in, have someone abducted. The site is supposed to be impossible to hack into. That's the catch." "So how did he get in? Our hacker?" "She's a genius. I suspect that's why she was ignored. Want to meet her? She's 14 years old." Chapter 65. Monty had an address for the hacker in Dale City, Virginia, only about 12 miles from Quantico. The agent who'd fielded the original call hadn't followed up very well, which bothered us, so we figured the agent wouldn't mind if we did his job for him. I wasn't actually planning on taking Monty along, but she wouldn't have it any other way. So we dropped her SUV off at her house, and she rode with me to Dale City. I'd already called ahead and spoken to the girl's mother. She sounded nervous, but she said she was glad the FBI was finally coming to talk to Lily. She added that nobody can ignore Lily for long. You'll see what I mean. A young girl in black coveralls answered the front door. I assumed she was Lily, but that turned out to be wrong. Annie was the 12-year-old sister. She certainly looked 14. She beckoned and we stepped into the house. "Lily is in her laboratory," said Annie. "Where else?" Then Mrs. Olson appeared from the kitchen and we introduced ourselves. She had on a plain white blouse and a green corduroy jumper. She was holding a greasy spatula, and I couldn't help thinking how casual the domestic scene was, especially if what Lily thought she had come upon was real. Had a 14-year-old found a possible trail that would lead us to the kidnappers? I'd heard of cases solved in stranger ways, but still. "We call her Dr. Hawking, like Stephen Hawking. Her IQ is up there," said her mom, poking the cooking utensil upward for emphasis. "Smart as she is, Lily lives on Sprite and Pixie Sticks. There's nothing I can do to influence her dietary habits." "Is it all right if we talk to Lily now?" I asked. Mrs. Olson nodded. "So I guess you're taking this seriously. That's so wise with Lily. She's not making any of this up, believe me." "Well, we just want to talk to her, to be on the safe side. We're not sure that this is anything, really," which was true enough. "Oh, it's something," said Mrs. Olson. "Lily never makes a mistake. She hasn't so far, anyway." She pointed the spatula up the stairs. "Second door on the right. She left it unlocked for a change, because she's expecting you. She instructed us to stay out of it." Monty and I headed upstairs. "They have no idea what this could be, do they?" she whispered. "I almost hope it's nothing. A false lead." I knocked once on a wooden door that sounded hollow. "It's open," came a high-pitched female voice. "Come." I opened the door and looked in on a pine bedroom suite. Single bed, rumpled cow-pattern sheets, posters from MIT, Yale, and Stanford on the walls. Seated behind a blue halogen lamp at a laptop was a teenage girl. Dark hair, eyeglasses, braces on her teeth. "I'm all set up for you," she said. "I'm Lily, of course, of course. I've been working on a decryption angle. It comes down to finding flaws in the algorithms." Monty and I both shook Lily's hand, which was very small and seemed as fragile as an eggshell. Monty began. "Lily, you said in your email to us that you had information that could help with the disappearances in Atlanta and Pennsylvania." "Right, but you found Mrs. Meek already." "You hacked onto a very secure site." "That's right, isn't it?" Monty asked. "I sent out some stealth UDP scans, then IP spoofing. Their root server bid on the false packets. I planted a source code for the sniffer, finally hacked in using DNS poisoning. It's a little more complicated, but that's the basic idea." "I get it," Monty said. Suddenly, I was very glad she was there with me at the Olson house. "I think they know I was on with them. Actually, I'm sure of it," said Lily. "How do you know that?" I asked her. "They said so." "You didn't get into too many specifics with Agent Teasy. You said you thought someone might be for sale at the site?" "Yeah, but I blew it, didn't I? Agent Teasy didn't believe me. I admitted I was 14 and a girl. How dumb of me, right?" "I won't hold it against you," Monty said, and smiled kindly. Lily finally cracked a smile, too. "I'm in big trouble, aren't I? Actually, I know I am. They might already know who I am." I shook my head. "No, Lily," I said to her. "They don't know who you are or where you are. I'm sure they don't." If they did, I thought, you'd already be dead. Chapter 66. It was so eerie and strange being in the young Wonderkins' room, with her life and her family members' lives possibly in great danger. Lily had been a little coy in her message to the Bureau, so I understood how the tip might have fallen through the cracks. Also, she was 14 years old. But now that we'd met and spoken to Lily face to face, I was sure that she had something real that could help us. She'd heard them talking. Someone had been purchased while she listened. She was afraid for herself and for her family. "Do you want to go online with them?" Lily asked, in an excited voice. "We could. See if they're together now. I've been working on some cool anonymizing software. I think it'll work. Not sure, though. Well, yeah, it'll work." She smiled broadly, showing those beautiful braces. I could see in her eyes that she wanted to prove something to us. "Is this a good idea?" Monty leaned in and asked me. I pulled her aside and lowered my voice. "We have to move her and the family anyway. They can't stay here now, Monty." She looked over at Lily. "Okay. Why don't you try to get online with them again? Let's see what they're up to. We'll be right here with you." Lily talked constantly as she went through the various steps to get through the site's passwords and encrypted protection. I didn't understand any of what the 14-year-old had to say, but Monty got most of it. She was enthusiastic and supportive, but mostly impressed. Suddenly, Lily looked up in alarm. "Something's all wrong here." She went back to her computer. "Oh, shit! God damn them!" she swore. "Those creeps! I can't believe this." "What's happened?" Monty asked. "They changed the keys, didn't they?" "Worse," Lily said, and kept tapping out commands rapidly. "Much, much worse. Ah, horsebit! I can't believe it." She finally turned away from the glowing screen of her laptop. "First, I couldn't even find the site. They set up this very cool, very dynamic network. It was in Detroit, Boston, Miami, bouncing all over the place. Then when I did find it, I couldn't get on. Nobody can get into the site now, except them." "Why is that?" Monty asked. "What happened between the last time you got in and now?" "They installed an eye scan. It's almost impossible to fool. The whole thing is run by this guy who calls himself Wolf. Wolf's a very scary dude. He's Russian. Like a wolf from Siberia? I think he's even smarter than I am. And that's fucking smart." Chapter 67. The next day I worked in the SIOC conference rooms on the 5th floor of the Hoover. So did Monty Donnelly, who still felt as if she were in limbo. We were keeping what we had learned from Lily Olson quiet so that we could check out a few things. The main room was humming around us. The abductions were a major media story now. The Bureau had taken an incredible amount of heat in the past few years. They needed a win. No, I thought. We need a win. A lot of important Bureau people were at the group meeting late that night. They included the heads of the Behavioral Analysis Unit East and BAU West, the unit chief of the Child Abduction Serial Murder Investigation Resource Center, Kazmirk, and the head of Innocent Images in Baltimore, an FBI unit dedicated to finding and eliminating sexual predators on the Internet. Stacy Pollock led the discussion again. She was clearly in charge of the case. A male student from Holy Cross College in Massachusetts was missing, and a close friend of his had been